Good evening. How everyone doing today? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Reverend Jasper Divine. I'm here to give some news on today. Um, a man wrongfully who was in prison for over 18 years despite identified as, but now he is free. But he done served us for 20 years. Thomas, spent more than 18 years in prison because he was mistaken, for a different person with the same name. They both had the same name. So he's 35 years old. A man who spent almost 19 years wrongfully in prison, for a murder after detective misled a witness into identifying the wrong person is now free. Thank God. You know, things really have to change. Because you're not doing stuff properly, and then you have innocent people is going to jail and spending all this time, and then it be like, oh, okay, my bad. I mislaid this and I mislaid that. That's just not okay. So Mr. Thomas, now, who was convicted of killing a 14-year-old boy on Christmas Eve in 2004, you know, in New York City, had conviction overturned in an indiction violate years after eyewitness, identified him after being given a photo of a wrong person. So you had somebody to identify somebody with a photo. You normally supposed to have multiple people lined up or multiple pictures, photo for someone to see, for a witness to see, not just have one photo. They had one photo and he or she identified, according to the statement from Brooklyn District Attorney Eric, when the identification came out in court at the time, the judge said that still a photo had enough. Now, when he did went to court, you know, he also stated himself that's not him on a photo, you know, and the judge also already know it was misled on the photo, but they still did not want to correct the issue and still allow him to serve that time. So he was 17 years old, when he was arrested, charged for a murder, you know, um, the record show. Investigation Brooklyn DA, conviction reverse unit according to the DA office. So now the case against Thomas, was compromised from the very start. By errors, they had errors, mistakes, lack of probable cause to the arrest, but they still did not want to let him go. Now he was further deliberated of his doom proceeded ever after the identified that came to light. The identified came to light, but they still allow him to serve that time. So making his conviction unfair. Thomas was one of three allegedly gang members accused of killing a teenager, wounded another person according to the DA. So if they had three other persons, they should have showed the witness all three, all three of the photo, but they showed the witness one photo. You know, so um, so the detective asks, to use a photo. So the detective asks, to use a photo as Thomas from the gun arrest, month earlier so that they could show the eyewitness, a part of the photo, the DA said. So they went on the photo, you know, not the truth. So they went on the photo, not the truth, not no evidence, not nothing. They just went on that photo and they had three other ones, pursuing was supposed to be, related. But they should have showed the witness all three photos, so they went on to photo not the truth, show the photo to the witness and arrest him on that. So before they obtained that photo, the detective decided to pull a photo from the police database, and that was a fact of a different Thomas, and that's what they should have did in the first place. So that it went on a database. And then when they pulled up the Thomas, it was the wrong one that they have in jail. So the eyewitness identified that the photo and that the shooter, not knowing that it was the wrong Thomas, according to the lawyer stated. So that was the same. They had the same name. You know, and what they went on. Now they went to the other Thomas and arrested him years later. They went to his house and arrested him years later to a report from the DA Conviction Reverse Unit. Now, two others were also arrested. So you had so many people with the connection of this crime. They was not in jail up until the detectives started looking into it, and when they went in on the database, that's when they pulled up the correct Thomas. So now they're using the same eyewitness to identify this Thomas, in a police lineup. So not knowing that the photo and the person she saw was two different photos. So during the potential pre-trial hearing in 2006, so this happened like the crime happened in 2004. So now 2 years later, then they come with the other Thomas and realize it was the wrong identity. So cross examination that he used. So the detective, they admit that I used the wrong photo of the wrong Thomas. Admitting that the falsely identified. So Thomas told them that he told him himself, that's not me on the photo. So in the photo, according to the DA, at that time, the judge said that was still probable cause because the anomalous tips, and that the photo resembled Thomas despite it being a different person. So despite it being a different person, he still had to serve the time, even though they see that it was a different Thomas. So before the trial started, charges were dismissed, again. And the other two arrested for the murder. So once they arrested the two for the murder, they had no choice but to let him go. So we must strive to ensure fairness and integrity in every case and have the courage to correct mistakes on the past. And see, that was the thing. They knew that was the wrong one, but they didn't want to correct what the detective, the police, or whatever had charged. They didn't want to correct the issue, so they allowed him to still serve that time. So that judge did not want to correct the mistake that they made, so he served 20 years before they decided to let him out. So this is another case of misidentity, as the wrong person. The system failed to uncover the real truth. You know, they failed to uncover the real truth. They failed to even correct the problem. You know, he could have been out a long time ago in 2006, two years later when they found the real person that did the crime. So the criminal justice system failed innocent people, and the real criminal is still on the street. So things have to change. New policy have to take place, because they constantly is doing this. I'm constantly is reading on that innocent people is serving so much time, while the real criminal is still out on the street. So we have to do things correctly. And when you have a mistake, on a case, you have to look into it and you have to let these people go. Don't have so much pride that you don't want to correct the issue and allow that person to serve all that time. So new policy, criminal justice. So many innocent people, serving crime that they did not commit. Just like the first one. I just had to do this here because there's so many. A person that just constantly coming out after them to serve all that time for a crime that did not commit. So you keep wrongfully in prison wrong person, not uncover the real truth. Quickly sending the wrong person in jail. You're not fully doing a fully investigation. When you make mistake, you have to acknowledge that mistake and let that person go. Not be have so much pride and don't want to correct the issue. So I will strive to get real criminals, off the street, but instead, innocent people is serving 20 to 30 years in prison for a crime they did not commit. You know, we have to do better. We have to do better. So if you're not placing innocent people in prison, they're being killed. So new policy, criminal justice. One, you have to do a full investigation. On any case, you have to take the time and do a full investigation. The people's lives depend on this. So we would not do no more quickly conviction. So two, you have to keep the investigation going until you uncover the whole truth. The investigation have to keep going on because people's lives depend on it. So three, we have to be careful that the right person serves the crime, no errors, because they will start suing the police department. If this keep going on, innocent people, and then you find the truth, and you still allow somebody to serve their time, thank God, he's free. But you have to, because the family gonna start suing the police department. Because you have to be careful, and you have to have proper evidence. You have to do a full investigation and proper paperwork. So if you have the wrong person and they said to you, that's not me on the photo, then you have to go back in and finish your investigation. Get more evidence and find out who is this person. If this person said that's not me on the photo, so I mean you got to look back into that case and do some more investigation to make sure you have the right person that you're sending to jail. And you have to make sure that's not the wrong person that you're sending back on the street. So uncover what really happened until you get the real truth. One, you need more evidence. You need more evidence. And two, if their name is the same, you have to really do a DNA test. Because this case here, both of their name was the same. First and last name was the same. And you show the witness one photo when it was three in the connection of the crime scene. So three. So we have to make sure we have the right person for the crime. You got to make sure you got the right person in prison, but at the same time, you got to make sure you're not bringing the wrong person back out on the street. So in both cases, you have to be careful. Okay, so let us try to uncover the truth of the crime, to keep innocent people out of jail, and put the criminal, the real criminal, in jail. So we have to strive to uncover the truth of the crime, to keep innocent people out of jail, to have the real criminal in jail. So this is all the news I have for you today. Because we have to do better. Because you still have the criminals on the street. But we so far instead, so many innocent people is going to jail, serving so much crime, and then you find out they're innocent and you still hold them in because you got pride that you don't want to correct the mistakes or the errors that the police have made. So if errors have to be corrected, have to be corrected, still allow innocent people to keep serving all this time. So it have to, investigation have to be done properly. It has to be done properly. You have to uncover the real truth. To allow the real criminals to go to jail and the innocent one to be out. So so we talked about this about innocent people is going to jail in this series. I just talked about that like 2 or 3 days ago. They had one served 20 years and he just got out. And he kept on saying he didn't do it. And so sometimes a criminal can get act so rap But at the same time, if all them years pass and it's still saying the same thing, it's time to look deeper into that case. You gotta look deeper into that case. You gotta make sure that's the right person that you're giving that time to. You know, and thank God y'all didn't give nobody no death penalty, because that's why I banned the death penalty, because you wrongly convicting innocent people. So you can't do the death penalty. That means an innocent person would have been life would have just been taken, and then down the line you realize there was innocent. You know, so we have to do better. You have to do better in arresting someone, and you have to have the correct. You have to have evidence, and you have to have the correct evidence and everything to make sure it's just the right person in jail. We have to do better, and having innocent people serving so much time. It have to get better. So also I have Black History is over with. But we are still black every day. So Kenny Brooks, is the first black head coach, to win ACC women basketball tournament. So Black history is making Kenny Brooks become the first black head coach to win. You know, he the head coach of the women basketball team, and they made it to championship. So Kenny is a living testimony that black coaches deserve the same opportunity as others. We need more black head coaches like him. So ACC is a Atlantic Coast Conference, for women basketball. So he's the first to take the women basketball team to championship. So that's amazing. We can still always still talk about Black history. We also talk about this. I had a new policy for criminal justice. Because we have to do better in arresting. We have to stop arresting innocent people and really uncover the real truth of the case. Because she had the real truth, but refused to correct the issue, and the person had to sit serve all that time. So I hope everything gets better. Because I hate to see an innocent person constantly keep on serving. They be a boy going to jail and come out to do is 35 years old now. And then other one 2 days ago I talked about he is what? I think it's his 50s or something like that. And they been a certain time and since a little boy. So we have to do better because their whole life it just was taken away from them. They got grown in jail. Never had a child like some of served so many years. The time they come out, their mom or their parents is gone. So they don't grow up in prison, not knowing the street life or life period, or either finish school. So we have to. There are real criminals out there, and you have to make sure we're not sending the wrong criminal, wrong person back out in the street. That we sending having the right person in jail. So we have to really uncover the real truth of these cases. We have to do fully investigation. We have to make sure the right person going to jail, and the right person's going out in the street. So that's all the news I have for y'all today. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see y'all in the next